Hello, this is an overview of Lumen Learning and how you might use their resources in your courses. Essentially, Lumen Learning is similar to a textbook company where you are able to adopt their resources and use them in your D2L courses, and students can access them for a small fee. That would basically be a textbook fee. Lumen, unlike a lot of other textbook companies, is based upon Open Education Resources, or OER, which makes it a lot cheaper for students to use. Lumen itself adds in the study plan and interactives, and that is what costs. Even then, it costs the students about $25, and again, that's basically a textbook fee. But if you compare it to other textbooks and online resources from those textbooks, it's considerably cheaper than what a lot of other products have. The way it works is once you adopt Lumen, Lumen will send you a course package, and it is something that you put into D2L. I'll show you in a second how to do it. When you put it into D2L, it connects to Lumen, and it puts in the grade items and the quizzes and the activities and all of that. The entire Lumen course runs through D2L. You don't have a special login for the student or the teachers. There's no access code that they have to go into separately, none of that. The course package does come with study plans, quizzes, and other pre-built activities like discussions, assignments, those type things. As the instructor, you can keep it as is, leave it just like it is. You can edit some of the activities. You can delete them or hide them if you don't want to use them. And of course, since this is regular D2L, you can add in additional modules, different activities that you might want to use in addition to Lumen. So it is highly customizable in that sense. The study plan is a neat tool because it does track the student's progress and where they are in the study plan. It gives them a pre and post test, so once they do the pre-test, it will show them what study plans they really need to focus on, and that helps them when they're looking at the different modules within the course. The study plan also has a built-in communication tool that you can set it up to send auto emails to the students from instructor based upon how they score on the quizzes. So there's kind of a good job email that will automatically go out if they score a certain way on a quiz. There's an automatic need help email that'll go out if they don't score a certain way on the quiz, that type of thing. In addition, sometimes there's some extras with the Lumen Learning products. Sometimes they have additional resources, things like PowerPoints and test banks that can be used regardless of how you adopt it, and in addition to the quizzes and the activities that come in the course package. So for example, you would have the quizzes that are built in every module that come in the course package, but then you would have a test bank of additional questions that you might use to create your own tests, things like midterms, exams, those type things. If you use Lumen Learning in the classroom, this is your textbook, but you also teach in the classroom. It comes stocked with PowerPoints that you might use in addition to with your regular lectures. Also, the Lumen Learning package can actually be used for free to a certain extent. You're able to actually use the materials, since they are based upon OERs, up until the students complete 3 quizzes, 3 attempts on the quizzes in Lumen, and that's when it's going to ask them to either put in their access code that they've purchased from the bookstore for Lumen, or to purchase Lumen just with a credit card right there on the paywall there. But they can still look at all the resources for free. So potentially you could still use Lumen without actually purchasing the product, just using the links in the content and building your own quizzes. And that is because it is based upon OER materials that are free for everyone to use. So now let's jump into a demo of how Lumen Learning actually looks in D2L. To get started, you might want to go to the Lumen website, which is just lumenlearning.com, and look at what courses are available for you to use. So on the main webpage, if you scroll down, you'll notice that there is Lumen Waymaker and there is Lumen Ohm. Lumen Waymaker is the one that we're used to using, which is more for social sciences, and then Ohm is more for like math and some science courses, even though some science courses are actually in Waymaker. So this video is going to focus mainly on Waymaker. So what I like to do, the easiest thing to do, is to come up to the top and to look at the course catalog, and then here you can search by different subject areas to be able to find, or you can actually just type in the name of kind of what you're looking for. Now be careful, because there may be resources that are not named the exact name of the course, but they would work for your course. You might actually want to click on it and look and get more information. So if you notice when you're looking at the content, it'll say Waymaker Waymaker or Ohm, depending on which one it is. So I'll just click on this one, but again, you can see there's lots of different ones, lots of different options, and sometimes there's more than one. So like, for example, there's concepts and statistics, and there is introductory statistics. One is Waymaker, one is Ohm. So you would be able to choose, which one you want to look at. Also, keep in mind there's like college algebra, and then there's college algebra co-requisite, which would be something like a learning support type thing. Also, keep in mind there's things for biology for majors as well as biology for non-majors. So there's lots of options here, and again, you just want to kind of go through and see and look at the different ones that might be applicable to you, keeping in mind that the titles might be slightly different depending on what exactly you're looking for. So I'll just click on one of these because if you want to know more about the course, if you choose it, you can read more here about what the modules themselves are, but if you come up here to the top and do view course content and outcomes, it will actually give you, this is the actual textbook in itself. So this is what the modules will look like. It'll show you the modules and it will tell you all the topic areas, and you can actually click on those and it will show you what will be in the textbook. So this is what the textbook looks like online. And they're very consistent, and then they have learning objectives at the top. They have information here, and then they have built-in little interactives or try-its, which are just little formative assessments. They check their answer. It doesn't get recorded or anything, but it's just little kind of self-checks as you're reading. They'll have videos embedded in as well. So this is kind of if you just want to preview and kind of see what topics are being covered or how they explain a certain content, you're welcome to do that before you adopt. Also, notice here on the side under faculty resources, you see that additional things are available with this particular textbook, like we talked about before, the PowerPoints, additional assignments that can be used in addition to these assignments that are going to come with the course package, the question banks, those type things. So as I said earlier, these faculty resources can actually be used for free because they are part of the open education resource. So like here, if I click on PowerPoints, it will actually let me click on them and download them and use them outside of this even before I adopt. Also here with the question banks, I can click on that and then I can choose the different ones. Of course, I'm going to want to choose Brightspace here. And I'll go over later how you would actually go about using those question banks and test banks once you have it in D2L. So that's how you would look through and make sure that these are the items that you want to use in your course. And again, remember, if you just want to use, maybe I'm not using Lumen, but this particular piece I really want to use, I can actually copy this link and put it in my own D2L course, and it will let me link the students just to this one page, and you can do that without adopting. Of course, if you're going to adopt the whole course, then you would have to get the course shell. So there's multiple ways that you can do that. One way is you can get in touch with us and we will actually do it for you, or you can come up here and you can complete the form and explore the course, and it will let you have the option to adopt it. And in that case, you would tell Lumen what course you want to adopt, and they would send you a course package. Now, keep in mind, a lot of times they'll send it to us, the IT department, and we'll put it in for you. Okay, so once you request the course package from Lumen, they will send it to you, or they'll send it to the IT department, and it will end up looking like a zip file like this. They'll just attach it to an email, and it'll say the name of the course, and we're going to zip this into D2L. Now, keep in mind that sometimes this is done for you, so you want to actually go into your course and make sure we haven't done it for you, but I'm going to show you how to do it just in case you run into the situation to where you want or need to do it on your own. So I just have a sample course, and again, in your course, you want to go to the content and make sure that it is empty, that we have not put it in there already. If you see modules here, we've already put it in there, and don't put it in there again because then it will make duplicates. So check and make sure it's empty and that we haven't already done it. And then this is the process of actually putting it in. It's super easy. You would go to the course admin area. You would do import, export, copy components. You would do import components, and then you would do start, and then you would just upload it, and then you would pick that course file that I saved. I just saved it on my desktop, but you can save it anywhere, and I'm just going to pick it, and then I'm going to import it in and give it a second, and it will import this course package. This one happens to be Introduction to Business, which is a Lumen Waymaker course. All right, so once it finished imports, you'll see that there are checks here, and then now we can just view the content. So most of the Lumen courses kind of follow some consistent modules. So there will be a course content module that will be hidden to the students. I wouldn't recommend you unhiding it. I don't think that they really need to see it, but it will just give you general information about the course modules, some things that you actually looked at. If you looked at it on the website earlier, it'll just kind of give you some general information about what the course involves. It also has the course outcomes, just in case you need those. Those are also in the course contents here. There's faculty resources that we will refer to in a little bit later, but these were some of the extra things here, like the question banks, the PowerPoints, the different things that you can use. The engagement center is an important piece for sending those automated emails, and we'll look at that in a little bit. So I would encourage you to leave both of those hidden. This particular course actually has an extra module here for student resources for a case study, but in most cases, the first open module that is not hidden for students to be able to view is Succeeding with Waymaker. I would leave that module open for them because this is going to be some general tips on what they need to see to be able to be successful in Waymaker, which it's really very simple. They just basically click on the links, but it's just that probably the first module that will be open for them and something that they can use to kind of learn about what Waymaker is like. So after that, it starts to get different based upon the specific course. So this course, is in business, so you've got your different modules here, and then I can come over here and I can click on them. Most of the modules are consistent. The content, of course, is different, but most modules are going to have, when you click on the module, you're going to have a study plan, which I'll show you in a second. You might have different activities. Some of them have discussions. This one actually has 2 discussions. You might have a discussion, you might have an assignment, and then down at the very bottom, you usually have a quiz. So some notes to some important notes here is, first of all, notice the study plan and the quiz are external learning tools, which means that they are located in Lumen, and that is where it's linking them out to. Notice that the discussion topics and the assignments, they don't say external learning tools, and that means that those are actually D2L native tools. And so the discussion is here. If I go to the discussion area, it is also here as well. It actually put it here, as well as the assignment area. I put it here. It put them here. Now, what about quizzes? If I go to the quizzes area, notice there aren't any quizzes. But you say, but there were quizzes in the content area. In every module, there is a quiz. And that is because it is an external learning tool. It's linking out to Lumen quizzes, while these are actual in the assignment area, in the discussion area, whatnot. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. So let's say that you don't want to use this module. This doesn't apply to your course. You don't have time for it, whatever. You can actually come here, and if you hide this module, it becomes invisible to the students, and that means that all the items in it are also invisible. Now, something to kind of keep in mind is that when all of these come across as being graded items, so when I go to the grades area, if you notice in the manage grades area, it also has grade items for all of these. See, there's grade items for all of these. So if I am going to not use one of the modules, and they're obviously therefore not going to do the assignments related to that module, I might want to come here and either delete that grade item to where I'm not going to use it, or hide it or make it a 0 weight. So since I hid this one, so I could have had the option, in this case I just hid it, so it's still going to be there for me to see, but the students can't see it. If I wanted to actually delete it, I would come up here to the top and then do delete module and then permanently delete. Now if I permanently delete this, it will make it to where I can delete the grade item as well under grades. Since I hid it, it won't let me delete it, because if you notice here on the side, they are associated to things. So like, let's say that this discussion, external factors, internal pressure, that is part of the module that I hid. So if I try to delete this, notice it's still associated to the discussion because I didn't delete that item. So in that case, what I can do is I can click on it, I can edit it, and I can come down and make the weight 0, which means it doesn't count towards the grade item at all. I can save that, and then, it's going to make me, sometimes it will make you rename it because some of the, it doesn't like some of the characters used. So save that, And then under restrictions, I can come and hide it. So now it's still in the grade book when I look at it, but it's worth 0 weight, meaning it doesn't count towards their average, and it's invisible to them. So that is what you would do if you were going to just hide it and not actually delete it. So now I'll go and actually delete one so you can see what that option looks like. So let me just randomly pick one. Let's just pick, let's see, let's grab legal environment. So let's say that we're not going to use legal environment, and I don't want to use any of these items in here. They don't sue dog treat companies, the product liability debate. I'm not going to use any of that information. So I would come here and do delete module, make sure to choose permanently delete, and that's going to delete all the sources and materials in that particular module. It's going to take it right on out of the course. So from there, give it a second to delete. You see it's gone. So now when I go to grades and manage grades, notice that all of these do not have grade items. They're grade items, but they do not have an association to them in the content area because I deleted that stuff. So in that case, I can actually delete these grade items. I can come up here to delete, and then I can come in and it will only let me check, it'll let me check these. Notice that these are the ones that are still associated to something that is in the course, and so if I click on this, it will tell me what it is associated to, but it won't let me click on it and delete it because it's associated to something in the course. So in this case, it will let me delete out those grade items that I'm not going to be using because I deleted the content. So that's 2 ways to address content that you don't want in the course that Lumen has provided. You can either find the module and hide it, and then go and find all the grade items that you're not going to be using for it and hide them and make them worth 0, or you can straight delete it and then delete the grade items. So it's up to you. So that would be how you could hide or delete content that's built in. You can also edit content if you click on this, and the main things that you would be able to edit would be like the discussions or the assignments. So if you wanted to change something up, like here, I could click on this, and maybe I want to give more of a discussion prompt, or maybe I want to say, read one or make one post and reply to 2 others or whatnot. You can update those if you want to. And what happens is with these, it actually links out to their discussion post area, and it has all of that. So you may choose to actually copy this and then paste this in the discussion area instead of them linking out to it. So you can also actually create your own content. It might be that maybe I have, a module that I want to do that isn't already included in the course, and so I can just add it in, and then I can actually move it to wherever I want it to go into the course, and then from there I can upload my own content and do my own activities if I want to, and that's how you can add your own content on top of Lumen. So now let's talk about what the study plan is and how it looks. So you can actually preview this if you click on any of your modules, and you can go into the study plan here. If you click on that, it'll take you, remember this is an external learning tool, so it's linking you over into Lumen. And you can have the teacher view or the student view. So I'll switch it to the student view so you can kind of see what students see. So the study plan is basically a series of blocks, and based in when you click on these blocks, it takes you to that part of the module that explains that concept. So the beginning of the block will always have a pre-test for them to take, and then a why it matters, which tries to associate the content to like the real world, or why this is important to learn in a business course or as a business major or whatever. And so then you would actually dive in, and these are the individual, they've taken the topics for this module and broken them down into other topics, subtopics. And then you have your kind of, this is how it all fits together, and then your actual quiz, which is going to link you out to the D2L quiz external learning tool that we looked at before, and that's actually going to give you the grade. So up here at the top, we'll just take the pretest really quickly so that you'll be able to see what it kind of looks like once they do it. So at the beginning of every module, they'll do the pretest, they'll answer the questions. Now they're not getting they're getting credit for doing this. They're not getting an actual correct or incorrect answers grade. So they would just go through and answer the questions to the best of their knowledge. And once they submit it, it will actually show them their score. And then it shows them, which is even more important, this score is not actually recorded into the D2L gradebook in terms of they're not getting a grade for how they did. It is a pretest. But basically, it gives them a breakdown of how well they answered in each of these sub areas of the module. So, for example, I did better in the ethical challenges and the globalization. I didn't do so great in the measuring of global trade, in the global business strategies, and a couple of these other areas. So this may help me when I am focusing my studies. I would definitely want to focus on the ones that I scored the lowest in. And then down below, it actually shows them the correct answers, what they answered, and the correct answers as well, and gives them a little explanation. So that is their pretest. When they go back to the study plan, it will actually give them some that will help them. Their guide that they looked at earlier will give them, and the pretest that they did will guide them in what they need to look at. So here it shows them that they did complete the show what you know, the pretest. They can take it again if they want to, but it shows that they've done it. And then by scrolling down, it shows them what areas they need the most work in. So for me, I need work in all of them. But if they scored really well in one of these areas, it's not that they don't need to look at it. It is important content, but it does help them prioritize what they really need to focus on there. And then so from there, they would go ahead and they would need to look at why it matters, which will give them some general overview of how this applies beyond the course. And then if they do next, it actually just jumps them right into the module. And then again, this is the content of the book that we were looking at earlier. And they just kind of go through and read the information. There are some interactive pieces, little videos embedded in, some little practice questions that they would need to take and check their answer. Again, they're not getting a grade for this in terms of its correctness. They're just, again, it's just for practice, little self-checks. And so they would continue on with this and looking at that information, and as they go through the book, answering the self checks. So at any point, I can return to this study plan in the content area. Maybe I break this up over several days to complete. And as I'm doing it, notice that there are formative assessments and summative assessments for this particular one. The formative assessment is based upon these little self checks that I'm answering as we're going through. And so I'm able to just click on that, and I'm able to continue on with my area. I can click on whichever one I was on, and it would take me back to looking at the content. And again, I just scroll through and read the information, and then I can do the self-checks, and these are considered like formative assessments in there. And then I'm getting, I'm not getting graded on that. I'm getting graded on for completing it, and how well I do. And I can always go back and take it again if I wanted to. So those little practice questions within the module itself are what make up the formative assessment. The self-check, they'll have at the very end of each module, and it's usually just maybe 2 or 3 questions, maybe up to 5, and then that's when they answer those questions and go through. And in doing so, it actually gives them a little bit of a grade for that. Now keep in mind, it'll give them information here, and they can retry the self-check if they want to. So it's not a hard-earned grade. They can always go back and review, or they can go back and review material, and it will take them back to the beginning here. If I go back to the main study plan, so if I go to content and I go to the study plan here again, where I was just to begin with, and I'm looking in my student view, I notice I see that I'm done with that. I see that I'm done, which means done means that you've looked at all the content in the in that particular submodule. Here it shows that my mastery, I still need work on it. And so as you are completing it, it'll show you the percentages on it. Now what you can actually do if you want to is say that I've scored really high on this and it doesn't show that I need work. It shows that I've got a mastery level of this because maybe I have a lot of experience in this. I can click on this and go directly to the self-check. Then from there, I can take the study questions, and then that would give me an idea of, Here it shows me I need work, so I could go back and review the material as well. So as you can see, the student's going to spend a lot of time in the study plan of each module, which again, they go to the content area and then they click on the module, and it's usually the first link here. That's where they're going to get to basically their book and their content, and it's going to self-pace them through, giving them little formative assessments along the way. So let's fast forward and say that as a student, we did finish all these modules. We've clicked on them, we've read the content, we've done the little formative assessments, we've got the done checkbox. So when we get done, we'll go to the take quiz area. So when we choose this, it's just going to say exit the study plan and return the course materials to take the quiz. So that basically just means that they go to the content area. They scroll down to the bottom here, and then this is the quiz that they're referring to. Remember, this is the external learning tool, so if you go over here to quizzes, it's not going to actually be in there. So we click on that, and this will look a little bit different for you because this is the teacher environment. So it's actually letting you, manage the other students' attempts and what's not, or the students' attempts and whatnot. But in this case, you can do a preview just to see what it kind of looks like. And then you go and start here. And then this would be the quiz that the students would do. So they would just answer the questions and go through as normal. And then when they get finished, they would submit it. So once they submit it, it will tell them their score. It will also give them just an overview again, similar to what we saw with the pretest, of how well we did in our areas. And then it will just tell them what answers they answered incorrectly or correctly. It doesn't tell them the correct answers. By default, it allows the students to take 2 attempts on the quiz. And so that is something that is just automatically there. But as a teacher, you, of course, can take it multiple times. So ideally what would happen here is the student would see, oh, okay, I didn't do well in globalization, I didn't do well in global trade forces, and then they would go back to the content area, they would go back to the study plan, and then they would review those areas again because obviously they need a little bit more work in those areas, so they would come and find these areas and review them again. Now, if you noticed when I was in the study plan earlier, I was looking at the student view, which is letting me see how the students would see it, and they're mainly just seeing what level they are mastering based upon their pretest, and then they're seeing a done when they have completed the self-check and looked at the content. When you initially go into the study plan for any module, you're going to see the teacher view though, and that gives you some good data here. So for every sub-module, you see a formative score and a summative score once students have actually gotten in there and started taking things. And so you're able to click on that and it'll kind of explain it to you. So the average on the formative assessments in the module, which includes the self-checks as well as the little questions built into the course itself, that's their average on that. And then they'll actually give you an average on the summative assessment or the quiz score itself, which this person didn't take it yet, but it would have it there. And then it would show you how many quiz attempts and how many formative assessment attempts on average your students are taking. So the idea here is they might have a lower formative assessment, but hopefully you would see a higher summative assessment so that you're able to see. Maybe they didn't know the content when they were looking at it, but by the time that they actually completed the exam, the end of the end of the module exam, that's going to be what this is based upon. They should be scoring pretty well on that, which means they actually read the content. If the summative scores are low for these modules, that's letting you know that they didn't understand the content even when they did the final quiz for the module, and you might want to go back and give them some more resources on that. And then again, this is going to be different per submodule because it's depending on how they did on those questions that apply to that submodule on the summative assessment. And then down here at the bottom, it also gives them some quiz results here of how they, the average attempt on their first attempt and the average attempt on their second attempt, because there are 2 attempts per quiz. Really quickly, I also want to show you in the grade area under manage grades, they do get a grade for their study plan. This is a completion grade, so if they they do all of the activities, they click on all the things in the study plan, they do get a grade on that, and then they actually do get a grade on their quiz itself, the quiz that they took at the end of the module, and it's the highest of the 2 attempts that gets recorded, which is usually the second attempt in most cases. As the instructor, you can also view a student's quiz attempts or give them an extra attempt. Say something happened in the middle of their test and it got messed up and they need another attempt. So you can do that by going to whichever module you're looking at, going down here and clicking on quiz. And this is where we were just a minute ago when we were able to preview the quiz and see what it looked like for the student. But by default, under manage attempt, it's going to list your students, and it's going to list their quiz scores. So every student has the ability to take the quiz twice. So it would show their 2 quiz scores, or if they only happen to take it once, it would just show their 1. And when they took it, and then if you click on this, it will actually let you see the same data that they saw in terms of their percentage, and then how well they did, on those. If you wanted to see that, or if you wanted to see specifically how they answered a question, you can do that. If you, for example, need to give them an additional attempt, so say something got messed up on this attempt, and he needs an additional one, I can just do a plus, and then now he will actually have had 3 attempts. He had the one that he already took, and then he'll have 2 more attempts. So I can add that. I can take it down to 1 attempt. I cannot give him less than 2 attempts, though, because that's just the way that Lumen is structured. So now let's talk about grading the other activities in the course, which are similar to how you would grade them if they were native D2L assignments and activities, but it is a little bit different, in some of them at least. So in most cases, if this were a true native D2L discussion or assignment, you could actually click beside it and do something that would say assess topic or grade. But you notice that that is not here on that. And then when you click on this, it doesn't take you to where students have submitted it. It just shows you the actual assignment. And there is no assess topic here. So that's going to be a little bit different. When you actually do your grading for the assignments and discussions that were pulled in through Lumen, you're going to do it in the grades area. And in the inner grades area, you would just scroll over to find the grade item that you're trying to grade, like the discussion or like the assignment. And it helps if you have it in this standard view, because it will show you that somebody has submitted to it. But you can do this drop down, and then you can do inner grades, and in this case it would let you click on this little button right here beside the person, and then it would actually let you see what they posted. So this is what they posted, and then it would let you type in the feedback here in this other box. They get a 20 out of it, and then I just save it and it updates. And that would be the same thing for doing the assignments grades. You would just go to grades. You would come over to where there was the one that you're grading. You would do the drop down and enter grades, and then it would actually let you click on this and actually open their submission. It would open it in a new tab. You'd be able to click on it and view it, and then you would just go back to the tab, type in whatever grade, and save that. And that's how you would go about grading your grade items, which would actually be through the gradebook area. So lastly, let's talk about how to set up those emails that we were talking about, those automated emails. So we're going to go to the content area here, and that's going to be under the faculty resources, which again is going to stay hidden, and they call this the Waymaker Engagement Center. So we're going to click on that. Again, students don't need to see this. It would stay hidden, but this is where you're going to set up those customized emails. So now you would set this up. You would pick yourself as the instructor and fill out this information, and that's basically going to tell you what email it's going to be coming from. And then we want to go ahead and set up these messages for us. So the first thing here, you can choose to edit the messages themselves. So by default they are turned on. You can turn them off if you don't want them getting sent out. And again, these are automated. It's not anything that you have to do. So you have one that gets sent out for nice work. So, and it kind of tells you when they reach or exceed the mastery threshold on a quiz, which is that summative quiz at the end, they automatically get this email sent to their Gordon email with just positive reinforcement. And so it randomly sends them one of the 4 so that they kind of get a different one every time. But if you click on it, you can kind of see what it looks like, and you can actually type here and edit it if you want to, and save that if you want to change it up a little bit. And then you can click on the different ones, and you can see they're like a little bit different, which the idea is that they would get, a different one based upon how they do. But that's these automated emails that get sent out, and you can see up here that it will provide that positive reinforcement, and it won't send it more than every 2 weeks to any student. So if they went through and just really went through a bunch of quizzes and did well on them, it's only going to send them one. It's not going to send them, 5 or 6 emails back to back to back to back with that, because then that's not very authentic. And then you have your study tips quiz. And so this is one that they get when they score less than 25% on those formative assessments, which are the ones in the study plan, not the quiz at the end, but the ones in the study plan itself, before they take their first attempt. And then if they score below the mastery threshold, is when they'll get this one. And then you can click on this and you'll see and be able to read what that is. And so those automatically get sent out. They're automatically checked, and you would just save those. But again, you can edit those if you want to change that terminology. So then moving down on these preferences, again, this is just your information of how you would like your email signed and your name and email. You can also get a notification if you want to. So each time a recommendation is triggered and an email is sent out, it will actually send you an email as well notifying you that it has been sent out, or you don't have to have that. And there's a way in here that you can go and see that data, but you don't get that email every single time, which I would probably turn off because that may be annoying. In addition to those under assistant settings, in addition to these two sets of emails that can get sent out under intervention messages, you can actually add more messages that get sent out, and this will be based upon students who score below the threshold on their first quiz attempt, even if they have looked at the formative assessments. So this one, if you remember earlier, this one gets sent out when they haven't used the formative assessments and scored low. This one is if they have used the formative assessments and still score low. And so you can do this office hours invitation or this supplemental help, and you can view this message and you can read it, and when you save it, it actually starts getting sent out. Now these by default don't get sent out until you edit them and save them. These two get turned on by default. These don't get turned on until you go in there and mess with them and actually edit them and save them and have them sent to send out. So you may just never turn these on if you don't want to. And then lastly, under course settings is where you can change that mastery threshold. By default, it's set on 80. So 80 is the percentage that they do on their quizzes, so that if they score lower than an 80 on their summative quiz, which if you remember is at the very bottom of the module, they will start getting those emails for help and support. And if you remember this, I'll just go to any of these ones. The study plan is the one that's going to have the formative assessments, and then the one at the very bottom, this one is the one that's going to have that external learning tool one. So that is a general overview of the stock course in Lumen. It's how to import it in. It's just generally how it works, how to view the study plan as the student, how to view the study plan and get data as the teacher. It's also how you can go about looking at the editing the assignments and discussions, as well as grading those, as well as giving an extra quiz attempt, as well as being able to turn on that engagement center here under faculty resources. And I would encourage you doing this before the semester gets started, so those emails will kind of just auto-populate as they are needed and as the students complete the assignments. So one last thing, as you set up the engagement center, once you set it up the first time and you have it set up with those emails going out, that's why I encourage you to do it early on in the semester. You can go back here to faculty resources and engagement center and get some more data for you as the teacher. In doing so, it will show you here. Under Engagement Center, it will show you people who are needing help, and it will kind of tell you what they're doing on their self-checks, what they're doing on their quizzes, how they're doing on these areas of struggle, and you can say, oh, they need some help, and so I can message them, and automatically it will populate this email for them, and you can change it up if you want to for different things here if you want to send that out. If you scroll down and do view all interventions, you're able to see here that this particular student has missed 6 outcomes. So it's letting you know that they are at risk, and it will let you send them a message again with those same emails if you want to populate that as well. And then it will also give you a list of students who have struggled prior. And then again, this is mainly just the data on who is getting sent those emails. So the emails are already set up to send out to students who scored lower than 25% on their formative assessments. And so it's just kind of giving you a list of who those people are, as well as those who scored lower on their lower than the mastery threshold, which is 80% on their second quiz attempt. So you can send them messages as well. Under the student history tab here, this is where it's going to show students' names as well as their history on the different quizzes and the different messages. So if they have been getting those automated messages sent or the personalized messages sent, they'll be there. The automated messages are the ones that are here under assistant settings. These two are going to be the ones that are automated messages. Other ones that you might send that are going to be considered personalized are the intervention messages, or the ones that you send here when you click on the name of a student here. Those would be considered the personalized messages here. Another way to see who actually got those email messages is under the Engagement Center here. If you scroll down to the bottom under Message Assistant, you'll be able to view all messages, and it'll tell you the name and the type of message sent and the date. And those two that are automatically sent are the nice work as well as the study tips. And you can get to those by going to Settings, and then under Assistant Settings, that's the study tips and the nice work ones. Those are the two automated ones. And so that's how you can kind of track your engagement center. You want to set it up initially to actually start sending them out. There's a couple of things that you have to do to get them rolling, but once you do that, you can just come back here and just kind of see some data as to who's getting them, why, how much, and when. And so this is the general overview of how to use the main things in Lumen, the kind of default things. I'll make another video that goes more into how to use the additional things like the PowerPoints and making the quizzes and those type things.